My name is Sunny Funk. I'm the Chief of the Family Violence Unit for the Jefferson Parish District Attorney's Office, Mr. Connick's office. We have approximately 20 employees who do work solely on domestic violence and child abuse cases. Today we're going to be talking about the firearms transfer law. Myself, along with Lieutenant Martinez of the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office, traveled the state. We have educated over 1,200, 1,500 people, including judges, defense attorneys, law enforcement, mostly law enforcement, about what we thought were the best practices. Those best practices actually come from Lafourche Parish. They have been doing this long before the law was implemented, since 2009. They are the forefathers of this law because it's worked for them, and they've had great success with it, and they were the proponents of this legislation. I will tell you, we have some grim statistics here in Louisiana as well as nationally when it comes to firearms, as well as perpetrators using firearms against police officers. Louisiana as a state, we rank second in the nation for domestic violence homicides. Of that ranking, 69% of the homicides are committed with firearms. Law enforcement officers, as we know, are the first responders and first in line to show up to any domestic violence call once that call to 911 is placed. Nationwide, 1 in 5 officers who are killed in response to showing up to a domestic violence call. The reason being is that officer represents the means to take away the power and control over a victim. So it was important to us as a state to enact these laws, but it packs one heck of a punch when it comes to talking about firearms and how we're doing our best to get the firearms out of the hands of people who have proven that they are not responsible enough. It is the same thing as mixing drinking and driving. So when you have domestic violence and you have a firearm, the risk of fatalities and the risk of injury increases. There's a 14% decrease in homicides with states that do have laws relinquishing firearms from those who should not be in possession of them. And once a case is in court, or once a perpetrator is arrested for a qualifying, either a domestic abuse battery or abuse against a dating partner, a protective order is likely to be issued. Protective orders are important because there's a box that gets checked in it that says the person who has been arrested, either arrested or in the civil realm with a protective order, is prohibited from possessing a firearm. What's important about Title 35 now is we now have laws to have that prohibited possessor either declare in court and do a declaration of non-possession, or declare in court under oath that yes, they are in possession and that they will relinquish the firearms. They have, upon release from custody or upon 48 hours within the order, the firearms listed must be turned over either to a third-party possessor who is qualified under the law. The second is it can be stored by the sheriff's office and transferred over to their possession. And the sheriff can also oversee a legal sale, or the sheriff can contract with a third party to house or store the firearms. So it is a one-time flat fee if you choose to have a firearm relinquished to the sheriff's office for that safekeeping. The penalties for firearms, if you don't do it or if you lie on your form, you can be charged with perjury or you can be charged with contempt of courts. What the law has been designed to protect also is a defendant's rights or an accused's rights to not incriminate themselves when it comes to the declaration of such firearms. All it is a safety measure to protect victims, to protect volatile instances in relationships, as well as the police that may respond to those additional calls. When the protective order expires, or if a person is not convicted, or if their charges are refused, and the person is otherwise allowed by law, either under state or federal, to have their firearms returned, those firearms, there has to be a court order that's filed, or a motion filed with the judge. There's a court order issued by the judge deeming that person to be back allowed to have the firearms, and then they get transferred back to the person. Upon conviction, if you are a defendant or if you are a victim and the perpetrator is convicted of a qualifying offense, which is domestic violence, misdemeanor, and felony, they are no longer prohibited, or they are no longer allowed to possess firearms in the state of Louisiana, as well as under federal law.